The target was Microsoft Chairman Bill Gates arriving for a meeting with community leaders. Watch what happens when a team of hitmen meet him first with a pie in the face.
Microsoft has to be one of the worst companies out there, but I do have fond memories of booting up Windows XP when I was a kid on my first computer, or playing Xbox, playing Halo with my brothers when we were kids. Not absolutely everything that Microsoft touches is terrible. Unfortunately, the Windows operating system totally sucks these days, and this trend has only deteriorated with Windows 11 and the pursuit of an agentic OS. Yes, that AI slop pervades everything. Cortana, ads, cloud integration, bloat. All these are the reasons that I use Linux for my day-to-day work. But I do understand that some people, boomers, people who are working, gamers who want to play old games, they need Windows. I sometimes need Windows for certain tech, for certain clients. It just doesn't run on Linux, or it's just so time consuming to get set up. It's not worth it. So what if I told you that there is a way to run Windows, enter Windows LTSC? Right, so what is it? It's the long-term servicing channel. So Windows LTSC is a specialized enterprise-focused edition of Windows, and it's designed for systems requiring maximum stability and minimal disruption. So you can think of financial hardware like ATMs and payment systems, and other things like medical equipment or factory machinery and that kind of thing. But importantly, it comes without much of the bloatware that Windows typically ships with, all the stuff that we just lamented a moment ago. Frequent updates, cloud integration, ads, and AI. So if you can, use Linux. But if you have to use Windows, then let me show you how you can make it more fun and less sloppy. Okay guys, so you got to go to Microsoft.com, and then in here, I'm obviously going to leave the link, but you need to find the version of LTSC that you want to download. So in my case, I want to download the ISO for the Windows 11 IoT Enterprise LTSC version. And the one that I want is 2024 because I'm running on this new hardware. I just got myself a new ThinkPad P1 Gen 8. And so I want the latest kernel, which that version of the Windows LTSC ships with. But if you're running with older hardware, then you can go ahead and get the Windows 10 version even, or you could get the Windows 11 2021 version. So go ahead, download this. Once you've got it downloaded, I found a really awesome project, and shout out to the maintainer of this, JS Chom Choi. This is awesome. It's called Crossboot. I'll leave it linked, of course, as well. And what it is it's a tool for creating Windows bootable USB drives on Mac OS. Now, the cool thing is that you can get these bypasses, so you can bypass Windows 11 requirements, and you can also bypass the online account, which is to say that you can have a local account. So I'm just going to go to it here. So I've got Crossboot up and running. I'm going to select my ISO, then I can select the drive that I want to put it to, and I'm going to select these advanced options, and I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to overwrite that. All right, team, so once you've got your USB, let's head over to the target device that we're going to install Windows on. If you're unable to find a digital gonad in the local Starbucks who can help you out with a Mac, or if you don't own a Mac yourself, you can use Rufus when it comes to using Windows system if you want to create a bootable USB. And if you're on Linux, then you can use something like Ventoy. The only thing is, I didn't use these myself, and so when it comes to those advanced bypass options, I can't vouch for them. I'm not sure if you can still do that, because recently Windows has been trying to get rid of those offline accounts where you set up a local account without connecting to the internet. So try those out, but this tool, once again, Crossboot, is excellent, so I'd highly recommend it. See if you can get that going. All right, let's go to the laptop. Alright team, so the ISO has been written to the USB and I've inserted it in the device. So I'm going to turn the device on. We're going to go to the boot menu. In the case of this laptop, I'm going to be just hitting enter. Now, this laptop has 2 drive bays, and so my plan is to have this version of Windows on one of those drives, and then in a later video I will show you how to install Linux on the second one. However, I'm going to use the EFI partition on this. So in the next step, what I'm going to do before we proceed with the installation is we're just going to format it. By default, Windows kept applying a 100 megabyte EFI partition. So in order to get it to work, I had to manually go in and create a 1 gigabyte partition. So I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to go and we're going to say Shift F10, and I'm going to use the disk part utility. All right, now in here, what we're going to be able to do is say list disk. All right, and I've got 2. One of them is disk 0. That's one that we're going to be working with. It's got 953 free gigabytes, and then disk 1, 28 gigabytes. Now, optional, up to you. This is the manufacturer's recovery Windows installation. So in my case, I'm not going to be using Windows a lot. If I ever wanted to resell the machine or whatever, I might want to quickly restore it to Windows. So I'm just going to leave that there. That's entirely up to you. But what we need to do is we first, if you see that you don't have 953 gigabytes free there, then you would need to select the disk. The way that you do that is with select and then the disk, so 0. And here I'm going to write clean. Now, it was already clean in my case, but just so you're aware, and now we can say list disk. So you should have this disk 0. I'm not sure if you can see that there, but there's an asterisk. So we've selected that one. Now what I want to do is I want to convert it to GPT. So this is a UEFI boot that I'm going to be using on the system, and most modern systems use, and therefore it needs GPT formatting. So I'm going to say convert GPT. All right, now we've got to create a few partitions. The first one that I mentioned is going to be the EFI. So because I want to have, say, Linux installations, and in the past with 100 megabyte EFI partition, I've run out of space. So I'm going to say create partition. And this is going to be EFI. And then it's going to be size. And I'm going to make it 1 gigabyte. When you've got a larger drive that's, you've got enough space to play around with, you could make it 500. You could stick to the default 100. And then I'm going to format that. So I'm going to say format fs equals fat 32 and quick. All right, and I'm going to say assign letter equals s. All right, now we're going to create a new partition, and this is required by GPT. It's only 16 megabytes. So, okay, and MSR, the one that we're going to create next, is a Microsoft Reserve partition, and it is required on GPT disks. So it's only 16 megabytes, and it doesn't store any files. It's invisible to the Explorer, but it's for internal system use. So we do need to create it. And if anyone's watched any of my videos, you'll know that I never use Windows, but this is based on the research that I've done, and also the automatic partitioning that the installer does. So we're going to say create partition, and it's a MSR, and then we're going to say size equals 16. All right, and we don't need to assign a letter here. That was just in the case of the EFI partition. It's going to be automatically detected. All right, and so now we're going to create another one, but this is actually the one where we're going to do our install. So I'm going to say create partition primary. All right, and this one is going to be an NTFS. So I'm going to say format fs equals ntfs quick. And this is bringing back nostalgia, good memories from when I was a kid. The sign letter equals C. Okay, and apparently we can't actually assign C, so it automatically detects that. We're all good though. I'm going to exit out of this, and we're going to see it in a moment anyway. So select your language. In my case, it didn't even have the language, but I am going to correct it to the appropriate proper format, which we use in Australia. And the keyboard input is fine. I'm going to accept like I have a choice. All right, and so this is what it looks like. See, we've got this EFI partition here, 1 gig, and then we've got this system reserved partition for GPT drives, and that one is 16 gig, and then we've got 953 gigabytes for our primary. We've got some unallocated space, which I suspect is just didn't fit into the partitions. And then this one here is the OEM manufacturer from Lenovo. So I'm going to select that partition 3. I'm going to go next. And now it's going to install. All right, team, and there you go. So it's a super minimal setup. As I mentioned, this is a hyper minimal image. So if some things don't work, like if your Wi-Fi doesn't work or the trackpad doesn't work, this is in my case, or the speakers don't work, don't worry. The first thing that you should do is just connect your device to the Ethernet. You can also use your phone and use USB tethering. That's going to give you the internet, and then what you can do is you can hit Windows and X, and under here you can see Device Manager, and just check that all of the hardware on the machine has got appropriate drivers. So if any of these have a little yellow icon on them, it means that there's no appropriate driver. So you might need to go and look for that, or you could just click on it and look for it itself. And then what you can do, you can go to updates. So check for updates, just make sure that everything is completely up to date. And from there, you should find that your system is really, really well set up. It's, as you can see, there's no advertising down here. We have a local account. If I hit here, it says local account because of cross-boot and what we did earlier. I've installed some apps and that kind of thing, and so far I've had no issues. I do have an NVIDIA card on this machine, so I installed the NVIDIA app and also the Lenovo Advantage. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is that this down here, as we can see, is presently still under the evaluation license. Only got 87 days left. So, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my browser. Okay, and so I just did a search for the Windows LTSC IoT 2024 key. So just go ahead and search for the one that you're looking for. And then in my case, I am using this, obviously, this IoT version. And for just about $5 US, I found, at least at the time of recording, because the USD is collapsing, so who even knows? But nevertheless, it's still going to be cheap. So about $5, about $8.84 Australian. Okay, now you've got your key, and if you tried to put it in and activate it, you might have noticed that it didn't work. Now, it doesn't mean that that mob has screwed you. You paid for your key, and you might feel like they've ripped you off and they've done you a shifty. That's not what happened. What happened is, you see there's no longer an activation here, but I found this helpful guide. I'm going to leave this in the link as well for ProSoft keys. Once again, no affiliation, but we need to actually download these SKUs because this is the stock keeping unit, and this is necessary for the conversion process from an eval to an activated Windows. So go ahead, you download it, and then if I go to my files, we're going to see this IoT Enterprise. And what we're going to do, we've actually got to copy this. So copy it, and they've given the address here. So if we say Windows key and R, and the path is C Windows System 32 SPP tokens SKUS. And in here, I just need you to paste in that this extracted directory. So you can put that in there. And I've already done this, so I'm not going to do it again. Nevertheless, once you've done that, then you've got the SKUs in place, and you need to run some commands to reset the licensing. So the way that you do that, I just went to prompt, and I open the prompt as an administrator. Okay, and then there's some commands in here, you just copy and paste them. And in here, it's going to tell you that everything was done successfully. Now, finally, you can go and activate. Now, in here, it's going to say, I'm going to change my product key. Okay, and then once you've put that in, you'll now be activated. So guys, thanks you very much for watching this. I think this is like a tremendously better experience. Just look at that empty desktop. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and then I'll hope to see you in the next one when I do an Arch install. Let me know if you want to see that.